All right, well, today we're going to be going over Algebra 1 multiplying binomials. We have three methods to go over. The first one's going to be distributive property. Number two is going to be the FOIL property, and number three is the box method. You are going to have to write these down, so follow these and take notes. First example, just need you to write this down. I'll talk about it, walk through it real quick. It is a distributive property. Basically, what's happening here is you're taking the first parenthesis and you're breaking it up into two parts. All right, the first part is the 2x, and the second part is the 3. You're taking the 2x and you're multiplying it by the second parenthesis using the distributive property, which looks like this. Right? And that becomes this answer down here. Right. Then you're taking the 3 from the first parenthesis and multiplying it by the second parenthesis as well. That's going to look like this, which will give you this answer down here. The last step is just to combine like terms. So we're going to combine the 8x and the 3x, these two, to make 11. All right, and this bottom equation, 2x squared plus 11x plus 12 is your answer. All right, for example 2, I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to show you again. This is the distributive property. We're going to break up the first parenthesis into x and 2. All right, we're going to multiply both of those by the second parenthesis. So x plus 5 and then x plus 5. All right, then we're going to use multiplication. We're going to multiply the x and the x together on the top one to get x squared. We're going to multiply that same x by the 5 to end up with 5x. And then we're going to do the same thing to the bottom. So we got 2 times x, 2 times 5. 2 times x is just 2x. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, now that we have the 4 parts, we can combine like terms. That would be the 5x and the 2x. Those come together to make 7x. And then our final answer will be x squared plus 7x plus 10. Okay, so that's the distributive property. The second example talks about FOIL, the FOIL method. Now, first of all, FOIL stands for 4 different words, so it's an acronym. The F stands for first. Right, the O stands for outer, or you might hear it called outside. The I stands for inside. And the L stands for last. Now, what this means to this problem, we have 2 sets of parentheses. All right, the first is the first letter or number in each parenthesis. So in this case, it would be H and H. Right, we got H and H, the first letter in the first parenthesis and the first letter in the second parenthesis. All right, for the outer, we have an H, because we're talking about the outside of the parenthesis now, and the 4. So those are going to be multiplied together. For the inside, it's the 2 in the middle, so that would be the 3 and the H. So these two in the middle, the 3 and the h. And the last is the last in each of the parentheses. The 3 is the last in the first parenthesis. The 4 is the last in the second parenthesis. And now we have basically 4 parts. We can use our multiplication here and come up with final answers for each part, and then we're going to put them all together into one final answer. So h and h is h squared. H times 4 is 4h. 3 times h is 3h. And 3 times 4 is 12. Right. Now you'll always combine the two in the middle, the 4h and the 3h. So you'll always combine those, you'll add them together to get 7h. And then these 3 parts make up our answer. So h squared plus 7h plus 12. This is our answer. Okay. I'm going to have you try the second example for FOIL on your own. It's going to be example 4. All right, so take a moment and try this on your own. All right, example 5. The last example is the box method. Now, we already kind of talked about how to use the box method. All right, what you're going to do for the box method is take the 2 parts in the first parentheses. There's always at least 1, sometimes 2 or 3 parts in each parentheses. The 2 parts in each parentheses are the x and the 9. All right, that's from the first parenthesis. We're going to make a box for the x and the 9. So there's a row for just the x. That'd be this top section. And there's a row for the 9. That would be the bottom section. Now on the top of this box, we're going to have 3 parts because the second parenthesis has 3 parts. There's 1 part here, 2 here, and 3 there. So our first part, the x squared, is going to go right at the top left of the box, x squared. Then we're going to write the second part, negative 4x. And then we're going to write the third, which is just a positive 1. Now, each one of these now has its own little section of the box. All right, once you get to this point, you're going to take your original x that we first wrote down over here, and you're going to multiply it by each one of the 3 on the top. So we'll first do x times x2, which will be x3. All right, then we're going to do x, the original x again, times negative 4x, which would be negative 4x squared. Then we're going to do x times 1, which will be just 1x. Notice I didn't write the 1. You don't have to write it. And now we're going to do the same thing with the bottom number, the 9. So we're going to take the 9 and multiply it by each part in here. First 9 times x squared, which just becomes 9x squared. Then we're going to do 9 times negative 4x. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36x. And then just 9 times 1. Just 9. All right, so now we basically have 6 parts, but we do have things that are alike. We have the 9x squared, and we also have a negative 4x squared. We can combine those, put those together because they both have x squared, into 5x squared. So that's going to be part of our final answer. All right. We also have negative 36x, which we can put with the 1x. Those come together to make negative 35x, which again is going to be part of our answer. All right, now when we write the final answer, we want to write it in order from the biggest exponent to the smallest. Well, our biggest exponent is x3, so we're going to write that first. All right. Our next largest exponent is the x squared, which we decided that when we combined the negative 4 and the 9, we ended up with just 5x squared. All right, the next part is just the single x without the exponent. So negative 35x. And the last part is just 9. All right, this is our final answer. The box method is typically used when you have 2 or 3 parts in a parenthesis, like we did in this example. Now have you try example 6 on your own. So go ahead and try this example on your own using the box method, and then we will discuss it.